show after this month.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just July. So we're live. We're all the way live, like the Lakeside Band, with that awesome song. Before we go any further, I will have the lady introduce herself, then the gentleman. We may be joined later by Kenoshi Abominito. So let's have the lady go first, then the gentleman. Then I'll introduce myself, and we'll get into it. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the BS Buster Smigly podcast. I am Joe Moonstar, and we got something new to show you.
Pinky?
This is Pinky Don from Big Facts. Oh, boy. Happy early 4th of July, everybody. Just so you know that what tomorrow's going to be.
That's right. It's the 4th of July. I will be going to the movies, and then I will be coming home and grilling. And then
Funny, I might be going to the movie myself.
Yeah, and then I will be eating a copious amount of barbecue / grilled foods, and then I'm going to pass out and go to sleep. I've seen times I would have gone into DC and watched the fireworks, but this year I'm not going to go to that bullshit. So, with that being said, we may be joined later by Kenoshi Abominito.
Now he's
what's
here.
up?
Oh, shit. So yes, we are. Here we are, folks. So basically, this is a little bit different. We're going to give out our own channel's version of the Razzies or the Golden Poo Award. But normally they do this every year. I say we should do it twice a year. Once for the first half of the year, and once for the second half of the year. And the reason I say this is because there's never just enough bullshit going around. But unlike the Razzies or the Golden Poo Award, I decided to name this channel's version of this award for ridiculousness and bullshit and scummy ass moves in the video game industry. It's called the YDFU Award, or You Done Fucked Up. If you want to imagine how to say this, imagine a black guy with a wife beater with a piece of fried chicken drumstick in his leg with a bite out of it, and him looking down the street at someone doing something really messed up and saying, right there,
You done fucked up.
you done fucked up. And there you go. Okay. So basically, the You Done Fucked Up Award basically goes to, like, everyone's going to have their personal, who they're going to give their version of the award to. And who wants to go first with the runners up, and then who beat the runners up and got the award? Who wants to go first?
We're gonna have to go with we're gonna have to go with Bethesda on this one.
Okay, all right.
They really screwed up by misleading their customers when it came to their products. At least when it comes to Fallout 76, like the bag, and not to mention the core product itself, the game. They definitely mislead people there. And showing up at E3. I think showing up at E3 acting as if nothing happened. Nothing was wrong, No apologies were given. No apologies and incentives were given. So that is, Bethesda in second place. We have to go with EA with Anthem. Anthem was a downright disaster. It was a mess from start to finish. If you read any of the history of that development of that game, it wasn't even supposed to be called Anthem. It's supposed to be called Beyond, I believe. And then when for whatever reason it ended up being Anthem, and they had no idea what the heck that meant, and so they had to essentially create a rush a story, to make the name of the game make any sort of sense. And then what happened in that same article, it's a Kotaku article, I can't remember who wrote it.
Jason Schreier?
Yeah. So the funny thing about that, the most interesting thing that I saw in that article is that the developers of Anthem, BioWare, they made Dragon Age Inquisition. One of the quotes that was in that article paraphrasing, is that, man, we really hoped that game would have failed, so that it would have sent the message to customers and to EA about the time constraints that they give to the developers and the crunch time that they give to the developers. I just thought that's the one aspect of that article that really stood out to me. And I guess third place would just go to Activision for firing all their employees to hire a CEO, I believe. And they're not the only company that's done that. I think EA did that last year, or maybe I think it was this year, or whatever. But it's like, what is this guy doing that you need to fire several employees? What is he doing that's so special that you can't get out of your other employees? Yeah.
Anyone else have anything they want to add?
Oh, okay. So many choices, and yeah, that one really takes the cake.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go next. Okay, so I have 5 runners up, and then the winner. So the winner is going to be particularly heinous, and I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be shared amongst some of our lists may have similar people on it. But okay, so number 1 is Sony for not showing up at E3 this year. For the runner-up, and the reason I say it's a runner-up is because, like, basically, like, E3, like, okay, we know that E3 is just a big smokescreen. It's bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit that video game companies use in order to appease shareholders in the media. Because really, there is practically nothing that's shown at E3 that couldn't be shown just like
anywhere else.
Like, there's nothing really special about E3. It's just gamers have built up this mythology around it. Yeah. But the fact that Sony not only didn't show up at E3, but they didn't even mention like nothing. Like, they announced nothing. Like, not even just through their PlayStation experience. It's hilarious. Yeah. But it's just kind of pathetic. And here's the thing, like, every game that they showed during their PlayStation experience, you know, all that shit's going to get ported over to their next console. So, like, who fucking cares? So the second runner-up is Microsoft, for the same reason that Sony basically is a runner-up for the You Done Fucked Up award for the first half of the year, because basically everything that they showed for the Xbox coming to the next Xbox console is like everything, like, all that shit's gonna be on your next console. Like, why should I buy an Xbox One now when the next shit's coming out next year? Like, what's the point? Which then brings me to Activision is another runner-up. Activision, like Kenoshi said, you guys fired a whole bunch of employees, shuttered a lot of games, so that you could hire so that you could hire a new CEO for Blizzard, for the Blizzard part of Activision, with a $15 million signing bonus, which is the equivalent of owning an NFL team, getting rid of all of your backbench players, like the ones that don't really normally go on the field, but just in case some shit goes off, you might need them, so that you can hire a guy that might be good. You're kind of like the Redskins, actually. Which leads me, but you're still not number 1, because while you're garbage, Activision, you still have some good properties that still generate goodwill, more or less, even despite all the bullshit you guys pull. Which leads me to the number 4 runner up, which is Epic Games. You guys basically. Not because of anything you've done, because you've done basic business shit. The problem is that just how fucking two-faced Epic is as a company. Because last year when the year before last, when Microsoft was trying to get all of these game developers to go through their unified Windows store, which failed miserably because no one wants to use that shit.
Games for Windows Plus or games for Windows?
Yeah, games for Windows. Tim Sweeney was like, you don't want to make it into a walled garden. Which is precisely what Epic is doing with all these timed exclusives is a walled garden. If you want to play certain games, you have to go through fucking their bullshit ass online store.
Which doesn't even have a cart, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, which some people, you have the money to buy all these exclusives and all this shit, but apparently,
and yet you don't add a cart.
You can't have a shopping cart, a digital shopping cart. Like, here's the thing. Good old games, GOG from day one had a fucking shopping cart so that you could buy multiple games in one transaction. What type of fucking digital store doesn't have a shopping cart? This is not 1994 with eBay. Or was eBay 96? It was the mid-90s. All right? You can't get away with that shit. People are like, well, they're just getting started. There's no excuse. Like, here's the thing, okay? If you're the first person to develop a written language, you're literally making it up as you go along. But once you have an example of how to do shit in a how something's done, you can improve upon it. But if you're creating something from scratch, yes, you're allowed to make mistakes. But once there's like viable examples of something in existence, there's no need for you to make those same mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my number 5, you done fucked up, is the Pokemon group of people. Now, this is not a particular. I'm not casting aspersions on any particular thing, or I should say both. Okay, the people who are like Junichi Masuda needs to be fired. Y'all done fucked up. All right. The Pokemon Company not having a more adequate response as to why they don't want to have the massive amount of backlog of older generation Pokemon in the game, y'all done fucked up. But the people who are like trying to start a petition and get the dude fired, y'all really done fucked up because
it gets much worse, Mr. Red Fox. They're now harassing him with every tweet he makes.
Yeah, you don't need. That's unnecessary. Okay, it's totally like. Here's the thing. Like, be like me. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy with the Pokemon games that have been taken for a while now. You know what? Didn't buy them. There you go. That's what you do. You don't like it? Don't fucking buy it. Here's the thing. It's not like Pokemon is the only monster collection game with pseudo RPG elements in it. There's other shit out there that you can play that scratches that itch that basically gets that. But here's the thing.
Well, we got Yokai Watch and Monster.
You got Yokai Watch. You got Dragon Quest Monsters.
Yeah.
You got there's PC games that have monster collection in them. There's the numerous Pokemon knockoffs. There's Metabots. Like, there's other shit out there, okay? But here's the thing. All of that pales in comparison to the recipient of this half of the year's You Done Fucked Up award, because this company's greed and money-grubbing ways and shadiness and predatory business practices are so bad that numerous countries around the world have either passed laws to outlaw these business practices or are in the process of passing laws to outlaw these business practices. So the number one recipient of the You Done Fucked Up award for me is EA. Because EA, here's the thing. You have to be pretty fucked up when people want to pass laws against your bullshit. This is like during the industrialization era when basically the laissez-faire attitude, which is keep your hands off of business and let capitalism do whatever the fuck it wants, kind of began to give away to workers' rights laws because basically workers were getting fucked over by the owners of these factories and shit. That's basically what you're doing, except you're basically using predatory practices to appeal to children. Now, I know people are going to say, well, adults are the ones whose games are targeted. Yeah, but adults aren't the ones who are Like adults have money, but
who's the one that claims it?
Like, and we should have known something was up when all these different companies were making, were hiring psychologists to help them work on the algorithm and how to get their microtransactions through so that they would appeal to people's reward response so that they could get people into it, like get that same rush as people get who gamble and do shit like that. But we didn't know. I mean, we didn't know how bad it was going to get. Normally, when businesses start trying to use psychology in order to get people to buy shit, you know it's going to be pretty bad. But yeah, EA, you get the "You Done Fucked Up" award because when people start passing laws to
get on your
bullshit, it's some pretty stinky bullshit. People don't want to step in it. Who wants to go next?
I say you got the top one, I would say, well, trying to think of it real quick. I would have went with Epic personally for the number one, since they managed to not only f up the gaming scene, but also basically, well, they basically just started another console war. At least as far as I see it.
Yeah, I guess so.
But that's probably just on me.
Thing is that no one's passing laws against what Epic's doing. It's scummy. I'm not going to lie. The exclusivity deals are really scummy. But in the grand scheme of things, Epic is just like, it's basically what Microsoft did. Remember all those exclusives that Microsoft bought?
So I remember with my runner-up, which is kind of weird. I think it be some of the Asian laws that have weird censorships going on, because seriously, they just because of one message that a company just got their license revoked.
Oh, you mean the guy who made fun of Xi Jinping and Obama? Like he compared the way they were walking to Tigger Fu walking in a Pooh Bear movie.
Yep.
Actually, if you see it side by side, it really does look like Tigger and Pooh walking along. If Tigger talked like this, you know, I'm not cool with this. You know, I might have to break my foot off in your ass, you know? Anyway, continue.
Well, I made my point already, so.
Okay, you have the floor, Pinky.
All right, so before I have the Pokemon fan base for taking their Bring Back National Dex movement way too far, to a point that they're not only harassing Suda for every tweet he makes that are not related to Pokemon, but also creating a fake account to accuse him of sexual allegations. That just recently happened yesterday. And fortunately, nobody fell for it because they've done their research. Second runner-up is Smash Bros. Fan base for their recent harassment towards a 15-year-old female Smash player who was suddenly winning tournaments against pro players.
Which I consider that worse than the Pokemon community, because seriously, you're doing it in front of a live audience. And
the girl was tweeting about her harassment and how she doesn't like her new fame because of it. She's now a target of these older fans gatekeeping that how her being a girl should be allowed to be in their community.
That's not really gatekeeping. That's more like just misogyny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although to be fair, like here's the thing. These dudes are always talking about where are the real gamer girls, where are the real gamer girls, and you find
And
a
the
real
moment that
gamer
one
girl,
shows
they
up,
wanna run
they
away.
harass her.
Look, gentlemen, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you want a girl to touch your dick, and she happens to be a gamer girl, it helps to maybe not harass her. Just saying. Look, you want to get a girl, if you want to get someone of the opposite sex to touch your dick, maybe don't harass them. Just saying. It could go further than her just touching your dick if you play your cards right.
I'm just saying. Well, you know, it also might be they talk out of both sides of their mouth. Like, yeah, we want a real gamer girl, but we also want her to be super attractive too.
Oh, I've seen real super attractive gamer girls. Don't say that. Don't say there aren't super attractive gamer girls. I've seen them. Hell, my current girlfriend's one. I've seen. Look, the white whale exists.
You just
No, I'm just saying they might. I'm just saying that they. I'm not saying I haven't seen any. I'm just saying it's maybe there's, you know.
Just don't make this like. Here's the problem. Okay, for so long we've seen for the earliest time when gamer culture started to come back, you saw like them try to market shit that they got attractive women to pretend to be gamer girls. But here's the thing. Like, there's always been gamer girls. It's just it was almost a stigma to be a gamer girl back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like, you play video games? Grow the fuck up.
No, it's just a stigma to be a gamer, period. Not just a gamer girl.
Go do something productive with your life. But sorry.
Yeah, go do something productive with your life. Well, I watched 5 hours of television after I come home from work.
Yeah.
I never understood that mentality.
Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off, Pinky. Go ahead. Continue.
So yeah, my third runner-up will have to be Sony because of their recent statement on on small game developers.
And I can imagine how toxic that is.
I thought you were going to say Sony for everything, for their censorship that now all of a sudden they're trying to enforce and fucking over small developers and all that shit.
And basically, one of the officials from Sony said that they expect indie gamers to release their games for the PS5 even without Sony's support, since its popularity will make it hard for small game developers to ignore.
Sounds like Sony's getting arrogant again. Seems like they're cruising to get their ass beat again, huh?
Yep.
We need another PS3, huh? Okay. Let's roll.
And for my final runner-up will have to be probably Shenmue 3. With all the Epic Game Stores and refunds debacle.
Well, here's what I'm going to say about Shenmue 3. This is a game that the initial part one, like Shenmue, the first Shenmue was supposed to be one game. Sega lost so much money on that game that they had to split it into two and just get it out, which is why the first Shenmue kind of ends abruptly.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, and then you have to do the second game. And that game, like, everyone thinks that, like, the Shenmue and its financial failure and the sheer amount of money Sega's put into it, that's one of the nails that put the nail in the coffin for Sega. Yeah, that's what put the nail in the coffin for Sega. So the fact that people thought that this guy, who has notoriously proven that he is not good with handling money for making a game, are surprised that he's not good with handling money to make a game. Like, don't you think it's kind of odd that a company, that a studio would keep on running to people to get more money, because they raised $7 million, which at the time was a Kickstarter
dream come true.
Well, it was a Kickstarter record. It was like one of the highest. Like, here's the thing about Kickstarter. Here's what I've noticed. Okay, like their successes and their failures. I think I should do a video on Kickstarter successes because people like to make this assumption that every game that's kickstarted on Kickstarter is going to fail. There are games that were kickstarted on Kickstarter that turned out really well. I mean, Shovel Knight. Has anyone fucking forgotten Shovel Knight?
I haven't, but if anything, it's hard to imagine how legendary it is for being one of the few things that Nintendo got first instead of the others.
I could name a lot of Kickstarter games that have been kickstarted that actually did well. Shovel Knight, the Shantae Hat Genie Hero, that weird Sega RPG / Sega CD RPG that initially started as like a ROM hack. There's more, but it doesn't immediately come to mind. There's tons of games that started out on Kickstarter that were successfully kickstarted that eventually made it to other consoles and didn't have these problems. The problem is that look at the people behind this game. This guy has notoriously proven that he sucks at budgeting. That he spends too much fucking money. All right. He helped bankrupt Sega. Okay. So clearly, I'm not going to trust him with money from. Like, here's the thing. He got money from Sony for this game. He got money from Deep Silver to publish this game. He got money from Kickstarter for this game. And he still needed more money. He went to Epic and entered in a deal with them to get money to finish this game. You honestly trust this motherfucker. And here's the thing. Shenmue is not a mass market game. I personally played Shenmue. I think it's one of the most boring fucking games I've ever played, but some people love it.
Was this at the time it came out?
Yes, because I had a Dreamcast. And
I thought it was one of those games that you love because, you were there when it came out, and if you weren't there, the game's...
Here's the thing. Shenmue is one of those games that's a great proof of concept. It's a great idea. Execution sucks. Like, the idea of having a city where you can go around and just do shit is really cool. The problem is that there's other games from Sega that do it better, like Yakuza. Yakuza takes the concept of Shenmue, telling a story. It's an adventure game with you're in this city where shit happens and you can do shit to kill time. It's so much better on Yakuza. Why would I want the shitty version of Yakuza, which is what Shenmue is? Even the combat sucks. It's not good. But anyway, sorry. Your number one is, of course, Pinky is...
my number one?
As in the
winner.
The game that wins your F up.
Yeah, the winner of the You Done Fucked Up award.
Oh, let's see. Probably Randy Pitch.
Oh, Pitchford.
Randy Pitchford.
How did he get this far?
Well, let's see. You've heard news about how he punched a close friend of his in the face.
Oh, there's more to it. I can hear it.
I had to look back of what else he has done.
He took a flash drive with his porn on it and kept it secret. It's like, first of all, okay, look, you're a straight heterosexual male. I'm going to assume that you probably look at porn. I'm not saying you personally. I mean you and men in general. But why would you put your porn on a thumb drive and also put your work shit on the thumb drive? Like, don't you keep those two things separate?
Yeah, I mean, you keep something. There's one thing for personal, one thing for business.
I mean, I understand every once in a while you gotta take out some frustrations, but I mean,
seriously.
And according to David Headings, Pitchford is secretly taking company funds to go on a spending spree on his own spending spree.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, this is the guy who who took Sega's money and then used it to make Land 2, which is why the game is so fucking polished. And then basically handed off Aliens Colonial Marines to a series of subcontractors. that were consecutively cheaper to work with in order to get the game finished, but it wasn't really finished. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so that's your winner of the You Done Fucked Up award. That's a fair winner. That's a good one. I have to say, Kenoshi, you were pretty good. Everyone had someone who deserved to get the You Done Fucked Up award. So with that being said, yes, we hope to make the You Done Fucked Up awards. This is the first one for the year. We'll do the other one near Christmas, hopefully, for the end of the year. Because really, like,
there's plenty of BS around, and
you can't make it yearly because there's so many people fucking up. You can't just be like, well, just this 1 year, you know.
I was about to say, most people put it into 1 year because they want to at least see how low that somebody could go in a year. We apparently are less lenient.
We're skeptics.
And thus we give them half a year.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we can move on to the next segment, which is a fun one, believe it or not. We're going to be talking about oh shit. Sorry, something popped up real quick on me. We're going to be talking about Area 73. He says his number 1 is EA. Enough said. Area 73 says number 2 is Sony stepping on rakes trying to pander to AAA only. Yeah, they're stepping on rakes, but the rake is a short rake and it keeps on hitting them in the balls. I'm never
gonna hang on the face like Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, it's not in the face; it's in the balls, which is worse because
it hurts 20 times more for you guys, doesn't it?
If even seeing someone get hit in the balls hurts as a man. It's like, oh Jesus Christ, oh no. And number 3 from Area 73 is big budget AAA publisher sleepwalking through E3 with no gameplay for their upcoming games. Yeah.
How can we name that?
I would say Square Enix at E3 is an honorable mention just because of that fucking Avengers game they showed. Like they were doing fine until that damn Avengers game.
They didn't show a damn thing.
With Dude Bro, with Captain Catherine Janeway as Black Widow, and some guy they pulled off the street as Bruce Banner, and Bor, Thor's mentally challenged cousin, and who wandered into his closet, got his hammer and his helmet, and said, "Fuck it, I'm Thor today." And whoever the hell that was playing Hawkeye. I mean, it was just bad. It was just really bad. So anyway, speaking of the Avengers, segue.
Smooth segue.
Yes. So this leads to the Fox's Forge segment, where we will be detailing how we would create our ultimate Marvel game. Who wants to go first?
That's a tricky one. But I can make something. If anything, why not try something like one of the rare storylines that happened during the SNES days, that you have several heroes and you go through each of their stories before going into one big one with everyone together.
So basically, Final Fantasy VI crossed with the Avengers.
Yeah, though the game I was thinking of that would be the crossover was something of an obscure story game that had six different heroes from 6 timelines coming into
Live Alive.
Yeah.
Another Square Enix game.
Yeah, that's the one.
A hidden gem.
Very hidden. And you called it out because I was trying to think of what the name name was. That was all the way back in the SNES days.
Every single story in Live Alive is basically a knockoff of a movie. Like the one in the prehistoric time is basically like 6 million years BC, and like the one that's set in like the pseudo future is basically Blade Runner / Akira. And then there's one that's set way in the future. It's Alien, except your main character is a robot that wants to be human. The one that's like a ninja thing is like a ninja has to assassinate this evil lord. Like each of the stories, and each of them are different. And then there's one that's like you're a wrestler trying to fight your way through all of these other wrestlers. It's actually kind of weird.
Yeah, it's the real odd one.
Yeah.
I was thinking the boxer one was the weirder one.
Yeah, that is. The boxing one that you're thinking is actually the wrestling one. It's really weird. It's like the rest of these I can understand, but the wrestling one, I'm like, I know the Japanese are obsessed with wrestling, but this is just way too far.
And one of them was a teacher trying to teach students certain tricks.
Yeah, with Master Rowe. Yeah, that was pretty good. It was like a kung fu epic where you get 3 students and 2 of them get killed, and one of them has to carry on the legacy of his master and avenge the other students who were killed. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
All right then. So, who wants to go next?
My ideal Marvel game is basically just a fighting game. Basically like Marvel superheroes. These are like Marvel superheroes, the arcade game, but more refined. You know, the Capcom fighting game before Capcom started crossing over with the Marvel characters. Something more along the lines like Injustice.
Interesting.
Story-wise, but gameplay-wise, something more along the lines of Capcom's Marvel's Capcom games.
Good. It's good. Kenoshi?
Mine too would be a fighting game where you could unlock not only characters but costumes from each era, from various different eras, and each costume would have a different sort of fighting technique. Because I know that the era, depending on the era, sometimes their powers are a little bit different. They were from a previous era. So,
that sounds cool. Yeah. That's actually a really good idea. Like if you had like classic Spider-Man wouldn't be as powerful as say like modern age Spider-Man versus superior Spider-Man versus alternate universe Spider-Man with the mutation, so he's got like 3 pairs of arms. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I like that. Maybe we could have the Submariner with his classic outfit with that Speedo. I'm the Submariner. Everyone thinks the Submariner is a
submarine.
No, that he's a knockoff of Aquaman, but in fact, it's the opposite. The Aquaman is a knockoff of the Submariner. he predates the Submariner. A Submariner predates Aquaman, and if the Submariner fought Aquaman, he would fucking kick his ass because he's way more badass than Aquaman is.
So that's Battle one.
What?
So is the Submariner? Is he like a version of kind of more like an Poseidon reimagining, more so than Aquaman?
No, the Submariner is like basically he and Aquaman are a lot alike, except the difference is that he doesn't have Aquaman's weaknesses. Like, you know, Aquaman, if he's not in the water for a long period of time, he's fucked. Yeah. Submariner doesn't have that weakness. He's just as strong, if not stronger than Aquaman, but
didn't it say that the longer he stays out of the water, the more uncontrolled his behavior becomes?
Who's the Submariner?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have that kind of red kryptonite thing going on, where if he's out of the water, he gets a little angrier, but he also gets more powerful because his conscious control over his power begins to degrade, which makes him even more dangerous. So, man, he's just really badass. And he hasn't gotten his due, really. I mean, the only time he gets his due is that he's a member of the Marvel Illuminati, which includes Doctor Strange, Professor X, and Reed Richards, and Iron Man, and Black Panther.
I was about to say, how did Iron Man get in that group?
Because he's really intelligent and has a lot of money. Basically, it's like why is Batman part of the Justice League? He doesn't have any powers because he's really intelligent and has a lot of money. Like, it's not because he has powers. He doesn't. Like, I know, like DC tried to retcon it. Well, he's actually a metahuman. No, he's not. He's not a metahuman. He's just a dude who has a lot of fucking money. And he's really intelligent. And psychotic.
If only Iron Man was as clever as Superman to come up with backup plans.
Well, I mean, the problem with Batman is that, like, the thing about Batman is that Batman is psychotic. It's just he channels his psychosis into like being a vigilante and taking down criminals, because, like, basically, if you look at Owlman or the Justice Lord's version of Batman, like, Batman's a criminal. The difference is that he channels it against other criminals. Like, he's not, like, attacking, like, innocent people. Although you could argue he is attacking innocent people too, because he's kind of a dick. Like, if you're a henchman who was basically corralled into working for Mr. Freeze or the Penguin or some shit, and, like, you have to do this so that you can feed your family, and Batman fucking breaks your ribs and puts you in traction for 6 weeks to 2 months, and you're like, because you can't work, your kids, you lose your apartment, your kids are in the foster care system. Like Batman fucks up more families than, like, he's not a very good hero. I don't know why people are like, oh, Batman, he's not a good hero. He's really not. Like,
I'd say he's one of the unstable elements.
And there's a reason Gotham City's a shithole.
Isn't he also a bit of a control freak too?
Yes, he is. And I mean, he's not a very effective hero. Like, okay, you look at Metropolis. Metropolis, when Superman's there, is, like, aside from supervillains like Lex Luthor, who just basically use the system to game everything, 'cause Superman has a code that he won't break. Like, it's a pretty nice place to live. You look at the Flash's city, pretty nice place to live. You look at the Green Arrow city, pretty nice place to live. Gotham's a shithole. Even when Batman's on his A game, it's a fucking shithole. I mean, he's not a very good hero. He really isn't. He's terrible. He's a terrible fucking hero. Like, everyone's like, I love Batman. Why? He's an asshole. I guess people like rooting for assholes. But that's neither here nor there. I guess it's my turn. So, my ultimate Marvel game, I put some thought into this because, I like ensemble games. So my idea for my ultimate Marvel game, this game would never get made because the resources used have to dump into it in order to make it a reality. It would be insane, but I would love this. Imagine, if you will, a Marvel game where the premise is this, okay? All of the heroes in the Marvel universe, like the major heroes, like, your Hulk, your Iron Man, your Spider-Man, your Doctor Strange, your Earth's mightiest heroes, they come to a summit in New York City, but it's a trap. And this bomb goes off, this reality bomb, which basically changes reality so that most of these heroes have lost their powers. And if they didn't have powers, the events that led to them becoming who they are never happened. So Tony Stark's not Iron Man. Reed Richards is just a guy. You know, and they realize they don't have their powers, but they don't know how to get them back. And the criminals are really taking advantage of the fact that there's no superheroes to stop them. The only superhero left who has some powers is Bruce Banner as the Hulk, but he's no longer the Green Hulk that everyone knows. You know, the Hulk smash. You know, he's Gray Hulk. Like he's back to low powered. Talk shit. Might pimp slap a motherfucker. Gray Hulk. I backhand a bitch. It's like my pimp hand is strong. So, like the Gray Hulk alongside Banner has to go around finding a way to undo this and bring back the heroes, while at the same time recruiting alternate versions. Like unknown alternate versions of heroes. Like you have like a 70s Spider-Man from another reality who instead of being Peter Parker is just some other guy who winds up becoming Spider Pimp. So he's got like he's got the Spider-Man outfit, but he's got like a Craven thing with like fur on it and a pimp cane. He's like, don't you have web shooters? Web shooters are for chumps. I hit people with my pimp cane. and you have like 4 or 5 cities in the game to explore, and so you've got New York, LA, DC, maybe like Wakanda, the country of Wakanda, because the city of Wakanda is really heavily defended, but
defended would be put it like
around Wakanda, like the countryside, that could work. And then maybe I don't know what the 5th city would be. I mean, the 4th city, the 5th city. I don't know. Like, I want to say the Savage Lands, or maybe Meteor M, or maybe the home of the Inhumans. But I don't really give a shit about the Inhumans, and I don't think anyone else does either.
I don't know who those are. Are they?
The Inhumans are basically kind of like, how can I put this?
They're mutations that grew interesting superpowers.
Yeah, they're basically the X-Men, but in space, like on the moon. And their society is divided, and they live in a highly stratified society where basically like everyone gets a mutation, but if you're one of the people whose mutation turns you hideous and deformed, you get underground and ostracized from everybody else. And the people who have the best mutations are at the top, like Black Bolt and his wife and his family.
I was about to say, isn't Black Bolt the most dangerous speaker around?
Yeah. Black Bolt's mutation, he looks like a normal dude, except if he talks louder than a whisper, his voice can create like energy waves that can destroy shit. And he was one of the main characters in a 10-episode little miniseries made by some asshole who really hates Kevin Feige.
And the guy who ruined Iron Fist.
Yeah, he's the guy who ruined Iron Fist and the Defenders. Like, basically, he's the guy you call in when you want a show to just tank completely, but be made really quickly on the cheap. He's the guy you call. So anyway, yeah, those are the. I mean, they're not really the X-Men, but for the average layperson, it's basically the X-Men, except they're not the X-Men. Like it's the X-Men, but not. It's like the less interesting X-Men. So those are the Inhumans. Like no one has cracked the code to how to make the Inhumans cool. So there you go.
That's gonna be a recipe.
No one knows how to do it. But anyway,
so why aren't they cool exactly?
Just no one's really been able to really make the characters interesting. It's like no one has been able to do the Fantastic Four live action well yet. The closest we've gotten is Roger Corman's Fantastic Four movie, which, like, on a technical level is not well made, but it gets the characters right. It gets Reed Richards right. It gets Sue Storm right. It gets Johnny Storm right. It gets the Thing right. Like, it gets all the characters right. It gets Doctor Doom right. It gets all these characters right. But the technical aspect of it just is wrong. But aside from that, it gets so many other things right that I'm just like, it's sad. But anyway, yeah, that would be my ultimate Marvel game. Like, you can recruit a huge cast of Marvel characters. Like, think of a game that has the character scope of a Lego Marvel game, but instead of Legos, it's like more realistic art styles. Like Ultimate Alliance, except like Alliance is just kind of like a dungeon crawler. This game would have aspects of an open world game. So if you're the Hulk, you can run up a building, jump over a building, destroy a building if you have to. If you're Spider-Man, you can web shoot. Like, this game would be a motherfucker to code because all of these characters would have different ways of traversing the environment. If you're like Iron Man, you can fly. If you're Wolverine, you can't fly. You can run. You can maybe kind of climb up a building slowly with your claws. You can get in the car and drive off. Basically, I mean, you could do it, but it would be really hard to kind of do this coding. It would be a motherfucker. This game would need 5 years in development. It would be a long time, but I would love it. But anyway, yeah, this would be my ultimate Marvel game. Different playable characters, like different versions of characters that you've never seen, like the 70s Pimp Spider-Man. His theme song would be the 70s Spider-Man theme song. Mm-hmm. And if for those of you who don't know the 70s Spider-Man theme song, it sounds like the intro to a porno. I'm just gonna
Enough said.
It does not, but not in a bad way. It's just it's 70s Spider-Man. It's a lot of jazz. It's just a lot of jazz.
I was about to make the joke that you got jazz hands.
No, here it is. I'm telling you, man, it's totally 70s. But anyway, yeah, that would be cool. Like, instead of the traditional, Spider-Man from the 60s, it just goes straight 70s. I think that would be kind of cool. Just as kind of a joke. Kind of like how in Lego Batman 2, like if you're playing as Superman and you started flying, it would play the John Williams score for Superman. Right. If you were Wonder Woman, it would play, the 70s, Wonder Woman theme, kind of like that. Because, I mean, Spider-Man has such an iconic theme, but they never show any love for his 70s theme, which no one talks about, which bothers me.
Well, because the 60s theme is more iconic.
It is iconic, but not as, it's like, it's kind of...
Out there?
Well, I mean, it's more, the 60s theme is more iconic, that is true. But the 70s theme is good too. It's not bad. It really is not bad. It's not like, let me put it this way. It's not like the 80s. It's not like that shitty 90s Captain America movie, which no one remembers the theme to. Like, everyone remembers the theme to, like, a lot of other stuff, like people, like how people remember the piano intro for the Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby, where he walks away. He's got to leave. He's being chased by the government. Ding, 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 ding. He's hitchhiking away. Anyway. So, anyone have anything they want to add before we move on to the next game?
Yeah,
I made my ideas.
I want to continue to talk about the themes. I should also mention that there's now another theme that's associated with Spider-Man, which is the Peaks of Time song. That one, I forgot the name of it. I know it's in Italian. It's an iconic Italian song, but I forgot the name of it.
Never heard of it. Never heard it. I mean, I have to admit that the 60s theme is the most iconic because they've done covers. Like if the Fox animated series did basically a rendition of the Spider-Man 60s theme. And in so many movies they put that theme out there. You know, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Even though when you really think about it, Spider-Man's powers is that he's going through puberty. It's the whole thing. It's like, oh man, what's going on? I'm getting stronger, my muscles are getting more defined, and I figured out a way to squirt out sticky white fluid. Well, Peter,
that was not right. You know that.
It's true. That's basically what Spider-Man's powers are. He's
I was trying not to say it because that was the most perverted way of saying spider webs ever.
Well, that's what his webbing is. Like inside of the canisters, it's under pressure. It's a white fluid, and when he squirts it out, it's still liquid. But as it hits the air, it turns into webbing. I mean, really. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of pissed me off about the Sam Raimi film where they went to organic webbing. I was like, no, because you're organically creating sticky white fluid. Now you're just really,
okay, now I'm feeling. Now I'm hurt from laughing. Now I got an injury from laughing, Red Fox. You're welcome.
You're going too far. You're going too far. You've gone too far. You crossed the line, sir. Speaking of Spider-Man movies, well, I guess we can do this as a bonus topic if we finish with the next topic fast enough. So, who wants to go next?
I'm bound to see it.
Is everyone gone, or can we move on to Fallout?
I was about to say I'm about to see Left from Home myself soon, so I'm gonna hold off on speaking about it.
Far From Home.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess it's my turn. So basically, I guess we can move on to Fallout. So before we go further, I'm just going to give people a general overview of Fallout. Fallout is a computer RPG made in the 90s, in the late 90s by Interplay. And basically, it was based off of a GURPS module. Now, for those of you who don't know what a GURPS module is, it just means it's a acronym for generic role playing. So basically, it takes the basic D&D stats and stuff like that and translates it into a generic format so that you can use it for other shit. They wanted to essentially make a future D&D game, but they couldn't get the rights, so they made a generic, basically, computer RPG. And
in short, they tried to make a Dollar General variant of D&D, right?
Not that cheap. Store brand version of D&D, except for the future. Except here's the cool thing about Fallout. Fallout takes place set in a post-apocalyptic future, but it was World War III. And there was nuclear fallout, and all of human society was destroyed. Except it wasn't, because life goes on. The general purpose behind Interplay's Fallout games is that despite this horrific catastrophe, life went on. And it really advertised player agency. Player agency is basically where, I'm going to use Pokemon as an example because I don't think it's a RPG. But basically, you know how in Pokemon, none of your choices really matter. Like, no matter what starter you choose, no matter what choices you say in conversations, you're still being guided towards a singular end, no matter what. Now, Fallout is the...
Oh, okay. Continue.
Fallout has the opposite of that. Basically, like, let's say we're talking the original Pokemon, where you have the Team Rocket Bridge, where you fight your way through a lot of these trainers. The guy gives you a nugget. He's like, hey, you want to join Team Rocket? Well, if that was a Fallout game, you would fight your way through those trainers, and then when you got to where the guy says, hey, you want to join Team Rocket? You could, and then the whole game would change. Because now you're a member of Team Rocket. You can go to gyms and take them shit and turn them shits over and put a puppet in place as the new gym leader. And whoever loses in that gym, you get a cut of the money. So now you're rolling in the cash. Now you can buy whatever the fuck you want. Changes the whole dynamic of the game. That's player agency. Anyway, Fallout has a lot of player agency. It's always had that until we got to Bethesda, which they
turned 4 and 3 into gun games.
Well, 3 was kind of like they were aping Interplay's Fallout games, but 4 is they didn't even try. And 76 is they took the idea of Fallout, put it on the ground, undid their pants, squatted, and took a shit on it. But that's neither here nor there. So basically, to give an example of the player agency they had in Fallout New Vegas, there's a scenario in the game where you have to rescue these troopers who were turned into hostages by their polar opposite faction. And the NCR Ranger who's in charge of the operation wants them to be killed so that they can be used as a galvanization for the NCR to fight as propaganda, as propaganda to get the NCR to fight Caesar's Legion, which is their opposing faction. But and there's like 6 ways to solve this. And those are like the known 6 ways. There might be a 7th or 8th way that people haven't figured out yet. That's a lot of player choice and player agency. So basically, Fallout is this post-apocalyptic world where you think the world ended, but it didn't. People are still owning businesses. People are still trying to build economies. People are still having kids, raising them up, hoping they have a better life. It's in a world where you might have to deal with super mutants and giant radioactive roaches and giant geckos and shit.
I was about to say, between the radioactive wild cards and insane humans that are still living.
Yeah, I forgot the cannibals. Can't forget the cannibals. There are cannibals in Fallout.
It's kind of like your Apocalypse Day.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. But that's neither here nor there. I guess we can talk about
what we want in our Fallout.
So what would you like in your ultimate Fallout game? Now I know not everyone here is a Fallout fan, so who wants to go first? Get theirs out the way before we move on to the next one.
Going once before I try.
No, you can go.
Yeah, you can go first.
All right.
All right. For me, I'm basically wondering if Fallout was more like the normal RPGs that we see, but instead and going into certain weapon types, like the 3 Fire Emblem. I was trying to get the words out. Right?
We kind of have that though in Fallout.
I know. I'm just saying that instead of it going live action, it might be full turn based instead. Like going backwards in time.
They originally had that with the different weapon types. Like enemies would have like laser weapons were good against like hard targets, but they sucked against like leathers and shit. And projectile weapons were good against like soft targets like leathers and like medium armor, but heavy shit did nothing to it. And then you had explosives, which were just so much fun.
I was about to say, I thought explosives were non-elementals.
No, explosives are really good against armored enemies because it fucks up everything. Or enemies that are lightly armored in a group of them, like a group of lightly armored enemies. Just some grenades.
Short, throw a grenade, make fireworks.
Yeah. Take this nade, bitch.
Well, I was saying that I would like to see I would actually be curious of seeing if Fallout would actually go back in time to its roots to do stuff like that.
More turn-based combat.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I wouldn't be adverse to that.
To that idea.
That idea. I mean, it probably wouldn't happen, but we're talking about like our ideal. We're not talking about what would happen. So
I know. I'm just dreaming. I'm just high dreaming because I know that the people of this time would say you're going too retro with that idea.
it wouldn't. I mean, like turn-based games are making a comeback. We're seeing more games that have a turn-based. Thing going on here. So
I was going to say ATB or something like Final Fantasy X.
No, I mean actual turn-based. Like, okay, Darkest Dungeon, turn-based game. A lot of the little indie games are adding more turn-based things. Like, what's it called? Steambot Quest.
That's how it's
turn-based.
That's how I was going for in a sense because I wasn't sure which way the which way would the more RPG like game would go, turn-based or action time battle system.
And the sheer amount of strategy games that are coming out that are more turn-based, where you take a turn, they take a turn, you take a turn, they take a turn. I mean, hell, they have auto chess, and that whole thing is turn-based. It's insane.
To be honest with you, I haven't seen auto chess yet, so that'd be something to look into.
Or if you play these card games, those are turn-based. You take a turn, they take a turn. Turn-based is coming back. It's just not going to be like it used to be way back in the day, but it's coming back.
Yeah, and hopefully, no one's going to pull a Sega.
Yeah.
If anybody's wondering what I meant by that, one person that ran Sega of America, they kept RPGs from coming to the West.
Bernie Stoller.
Exactly.
Our future is not the Saturn. I was like, you are not getting your money for this piece of shit. And I still have not, like, I had a Saturn for like 6 months, and then I said, well, fuck this console, and traded it in. Well, I didn't trade it in, I sold it.
I was going to say, they released it too early, then they dumped it too fast.
Not really. Like the thing is that Sega always had like this thing. Like once, what's his name? Shit, I forgot. The dude who used to be the head of Sega of America. You guys know his name. Not Bernie Stoller. The dude before Bernie Stoller.
Oh, that guy.
Pinky.
Yeah. For my idea for a Fallout game.
No. What was the name of the guy who used to run Sega before Bernie Stoller?
Let's see. I don't remember. I'll have to check it out.
Like basically, after that dude left, Sega was fighting against itself because you had Sega of America and Europe basically wanting things to go one way, and Sega Japan going in a completely different direction. And a house divided against itself will not stand. You can't have. It's the reason why when I heard people say, "Well, Nintendo of America Nintendo Japan needs to let Nintendo America do whatever the fuck they want," and I'm like, you don't really own a business, do you? Because you can't have different branches going against each other. You can't.
No, because I mean, look what happened to Sega when Sega did that.
Yeah.
That's what's happening to Square Enix because they, I think, are letting the European market do what they want. Or for a while, they've let the European market do what they want, and now Japan's kind of trying to separate themselves from that. Look at the PlayStation. Look at Sony. Apparently, there was a struggle between the Japanese market and the Western market for a while during the PS3 era, and that's one of the big reasons the PS3 was it's pretty abysmal. So.
Yeah, that's about right. So go ahead, Pinky. Your ultimate Fallout game.
Well, to be honest, I've never tried out any of the Fallout games. because one, they weren't easily available when, in my time, and I was also too young to play them. Like I wasn't 18 or older to try them out. And the fact that they weren't available on a Nintendo system. So I have no idea what makes an ultimate Fallout game for me. Other than wishing that there's no time limit on the game's story, so that way you can take your free time exploring the world and talking with residents.
That's a good point. A lot of the Fallout games, well, like the 2 Fallout games from Bethesda are like that. Like especially Fallout 3, like once you reached a certain point in Fallout 3, like if you didn't do what you had to do by that point, once you got past that point, you were fucked. Which kind of sucks, really, you know?
Right.
You know, because if I'm playing an RPG, I want, I want to, or at least give me clear, let me enjoy the spoils of my victory, where people can be happy. Fallout New Vegas was kind of like that too, where after you beat the game, like that was the end, which kind of sucked, but whatever.
And I guess that's pretty much it.
All right. Kenoshi?
I guess my ultimate Fallout game would be maybe somewhere like what was that steampunk game that came out for the 3DS? The game that nobody bought, but they had all the
I think I know what you're talking about, but I forgot the title.
It had like Abraham Lincoln was a character.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
A lot of the creatures are based off of Lovecraft. It's like basically based off of old American history, mythology, or stories. Maybe something along the lines of that. Maybe a side game or something.
That'd be cool. So Jewel said she wanted a return to like old school, old school style gameplay. Pinky said he just wants a world where you're not shut out of the gaming world after the end, so you can continue to do stuff. Yeah, that's all pretty good. I guess it's my turn. Well, my ultimate thing, I would like for my ultimate Fallout game would be one, instead of being set in the kind of shitty, in my opinion, East Coast. I know I live on the East Coast, but I don't want to play a game set on the East Coast again, because I graduated from the University of Hartford, so playing Fallout 4, it's like I don't want to fucking play in Massachusetts, in Boston, and Fallout 3 was set in like DC / a little bit in Southern Maryland, aka Bethesda. I don't want to play a game set in. I live there. I don't want to fucking play a game set there, unless you're doing a GTA set in the 70s, because I wasn't alive in the 70s, so that's interesting. But hey, you can go in the metro. I don't want to fucking go in the metro in real life, much less in a virtual one. Well, that's not true. I take the metro quite a bit, but it's like it's something that I do in the real world. I don't want to play a virtual game unless you're going to do something really cool with it. So I would say do a Fallout game set in the Pacific, like not the NCR, but like maybe like Hawaii and Japan, maybe a little bit of Russia.
International flavor.
What?
International flavored.
Well, just you deal with the ocean and islands, because I mean we haven't seen what the war did to that part of the world. It's always set in America. Like the first Fallout was in the wasteland.
The only thing that would be close to being an ocean view of a certain area would be a Fallout California.
Yeah, but that's not official DLC. That's a mod. So Fallout 4 got closest because you could go to kind of like the Cape where there's like the ocean, but you really couldn't. You could go out to a certain point, then you hit the invisible wall. My idea is to make a Fallout game set in that area where you can play as different. You can choose a different starter character, which changes what your overall mission is. Like you can choose to be a ghoul, which is basically someone who's been around
irradiated.
Yeah, they've been radiated so much that their physiology has changed to where they can literally live off of radiation. However, if they get too much radiation beyond that point, they turn into a feral ghoul where their brain rots away and they become like zombies and attack anything. So you can choose to be a ghoul, you can choose to be a super mutant, you can choose to be a human, and then you can choose like subsets of humans, like which determines like where you came from. Like you used to be a raider, or you used to be an NCR trooper, or you were a trader, or whatever, which determines your base skill set and stuff like that. And I think that would be cool to play a Fallout game where you get more control over what your character's origin and background is, which determines what their base skills and abilities are, and kind of like their personality. And then you get to visit these places and see how people have survived after World War III. The end of the world, essentially. You get to go to Japan and see, hey, we're fine. We're the Japanese. We've been bombed before. We can deal with this shit. And how they basically have like rebuilt their society. So maybe you could have like a Japan where they've gone back to feudalism, but they also have technology that's really advanced. So it's like neo-punk feudalism with like some steampunk thrown in. So you might have a guy in a samurai outfit with a sword. The sword's like fucking technologically advanced, so it can slice through shit that a normal samurai sword couldn't. And you might have like Russia, where like the vast majority of the Russians, some base are like fucking are dead, but an AI robot controls the defenses that still think the war is going on or some shit, like stuff like that. That would be an interesting Fallout game to me. I would totally play that game. Would Bethesda do it? Probably not, because it's Bethesda and they're content just bastardizing
the series.
Bastardizing the series repeatedly. So, yeah, that's my idea. Anyone else have anything they want to add before we wrap things up?
Like recent gaming news or other gaming topics?
We saved that till
we do gaming news for the end of the for the end of the week on Saturday, because it's too much. It's too much to do gaming news. Because basically, by the time we get to the end of the week, there's nothing left to really.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Has anybody played Bloodstained Ritual of the Night?
I haven't.
I played about 5 minutes of it. It's
but I heard that the Switch version plays worse than the other version.
I was about to say, how unoptimized.
Yeah, I heard the Switch version is a broken piece of shit. That's what I heard.
And pardon me if I got this right, but didn't they reach their stretch goal to put it onto Nintendo systems?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's going to be optimized just because you reach a stretch goal.
I'm just asking because I'm just trying to be sure of how they promised it, because
Yeah, but I mean, from what I've heard, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night's broken, has glitches on everything. It's glitchy on the PS4, it's glitchy on PC, it's glitchy on the Switch. Like, it's glitchy on everything.
say, because if it's that bad on Nintendo systems, I can only imagine how bad it is on the other places.
Yeah, I mean, some games are just like not well optimized. Like maybe
At
this
least it
game
didn't pull.
needed some more time.
I was going to say, hopefully it does not pull a Mighty Number 9.
I don't know. Maybe this game needed more.
More cooking.
Yeah, maybe it needed more time in the cooler. Maybe it needed more time. But that's just me. I don't know. So how is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night?
I think it's a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Just, people keep comparing it to
Castlevania.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but I think it feels far better than that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who I'm not a huge fan of the Metroidvania Castlevanias. Like, I like when I play Castlevania, I like it straightforward, point A to point B, fight your way through a level, fight a boss, move on. Like, that's what I like more often than not. Like, I can do a Castlevania that's more RPG-ish every once in a while, but it's not my favorite way to get it,
Yeah, I don't know. My story with Castlevania Symphony of the Night is I just got done playing Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played that game. I was like, nah. Played a few minutes. I was like, nah, this game doesn't feel right. So that's why I haven't really gone back and tried it again. I might go back and try it again someday, but people are like, this is the magnus opus of Castlevania games.
I mean, but it's not like, Symphony of the Night's not bad, but like Igarashi was better. Like he like Dawn of Sorrow and Aria of Sorrow are better Metroidvanias than Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night's not bad. It's just not like it's a good first try, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, better as time went on. But that's just my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree because everyone always disagrees when you say something that they don't like, because that's the world we live in. People don't just, say I disagree. They have to let everyone know that they disagree, because that's what they do. Trinell83, didn't Fallout New Vegas or 3 had DLC done on the post game? No.
What was this question?
It says, didn't Fallout New Vegas or 3 had DLC done in the post game? 3 didn't have DLC done in the post game. I think New Vegas may have had one patch of DLC that was post game, but not initially, because they added like 4 expansions once the game came out, and they were pretty good. There was Old World Blues. There was okay, I don't remember the exact names of the DLC because I have the Ultimate Edition, which has all the DLC bundled in, so I don't remember all of it. There was the DLC where you basically went with an Indian tribe and met the guy who used to be Caesar's right-hand man, who after they lost the first battle for the dam, for Hoover Dam, he had the guy covered in tar and lit on fire. Yeah, it's, oh man, Fallout 3 is really good, but it's dark. Then there's the DLC where you go to this old resort where, like, basically this guy created this computer that's like animating people in like phantoms and shit. It's all pretty good. And then there's the DLC where you go to this government site where there are these nukes that the guy who set you up to get shot in the head in the beginning of the game has set off these nukes to hit, like, they're going to be launched and then they're going to hit like 1 or 2 sites, and you can choose to let it hit the NCR or Caesar's Legion. When I play through New Vegas, I always go with Caesar's Legion because they keep slaves, and you know, I'm not going to side with someone who keeps slaves, like ever. And then there's the last DLC, which is like where basically you find out where all of these monstrosities that came about in Fallout New Vegas, where they came from, like where the Cazadors came from, and where the rattlesnake coyote hybrids that can turn invisible came from. It's really fucked up. I love it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think any of those were like post-game DLC. The game that you were talking about, Kenoshi, was Codename Steam.
Oh yeah, Codename Steam.
Yeah, I got that game and I played it and I beat it and then I forgot about everything about it. That's just me. I remember more of the controversy about it. People were mad that Will Wheaton was a voice actor in it and he happens to be a blazing liberal. People were like, I can't believe Will Wheaton. He's a liberal. He supports feminists. Bastard.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
I was like, look, man, no. Well, we're on air, so I'm not gonna say it, but it just people took that shit way too far because it was a good game. And Trinell83 says he wouldn't mind a Fallout set in China. Yeah, that would be. I mean, the thing about a Fallout set in China is that you'd have to deal with a lot of the tension in a Fallout set in China. And China's such a huge country.
Also, they have to abide to Chinese rules for allowing video games.
No, they don't, because if it doesn't release in China, it's a moot point. I'm saying Fallout set, he means a Fallout set in China, where the setting is in China, released in China. No, I mean, China's such a huge country. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know how they would really pull that off. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I like Fallout. I'm a huge Fallout fan. I think that it's a great franchise when it's handled properly. Hint, Bethesda has not handled Fallout well at all. As a matter of fact, I would say they've handled it the opposite of well, like as
terrible,
as opposite as you can get. I believe in Fallout 3, the Broken Steel DLC, where you take care of the remnants of the Enclave. No, Broken Steel in yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Broken Steel is the post game. That's where they fixed the end game for Fallout 3. Because in Fallout 3, like once you did the thing where you turned off the reactor, you turned on the GEC, which purified the Potomac and the water around it. It basically, like, your character died doing it, which is really fucking stupid, by the way. Because even if you got the robot that you get in your party to basically do it, to sacrifice themselves, they still died. And I'm like, it's a robot. How's it going to die from radioactivity? That makes no sense. It was like, that was the problem with Fallout 3. It just, like, you could tell Bethesda really was not invested in making a Fallout game. They just wanted to get the property and milk it, which they've now done with Fallout 7.
And everybody talks about that game like it's the Bethesda's magnus opus. I guess it's
Fallout 3?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone says that. I think you'll find more people who give a shit about Fallout 4. Now, there was someone who will not be named, but I'll say that you can't rhyme his name with anything because nothing rhymes with orange. Who basically like he loved Fallout 3, and I'm like, why? And he's like, well, I managed to complete that game. Like I 100%, I platinumed it. Like that's not a mark of if a game is good or not, because they're shitty games that people platinum. So
yeah, and there's easy And there's easy trash platinums.
Yeah. There are people who are trophy whores. I'm not one of them, but there are people who are. Plus, that game was so fucking broken. Oh, that game was so fucking broken at launch. It's still broken to this day. If you play the vanilla version of Fallout 3, ooh boy. Oh, Jesus.
All Bethesda's games to me, they look really boring to play. Look really boring to play.
Yeah.
I look at a Bethesda game and it's like, how does anybody have fun with this? And somebody talked to me about the Bethesda, like Oblivion, the Oblivion games, and they talked about the lore of the game. But if your gameplay isn't strong enough, I'm just not going to be interested in your lore.
People, I'll be honest with you. Bethesda games are fun when you can, because you can mod them and add new content and shit like that, which is cool. It's cool being able to play a game and add new shit that makes the game completely different than what it would normally be, or add new quests. That's cool. Like, really, Bethesda games are fun by and large because people can add shit to them to make them more interesting, not because they're good games within and of themselves. Except, I mean, not all of them. Like, I will say that Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is pretty good. Just because, not because the main quest is good, but because of some of the side quests and shit like that. It doesn't look good. It's not the prettiest game. I will be honest with you. It's not a very pretty game to play, but damn, is it fun. I'm not going to lie. It is, like, there's some really awesome side quests in that game that make it really fun to play. But that's just me. I know some people, like, everyone's not going to like the same shit. And I'm aware of that, right? Like, not everyone's going to like the same shit. That's life, And I'm okay with that. Like, I know some people don't like that. I know some people are like, oh, you need to like everything I like. But that's just me. Anyone have anything else they want to add before we wrap things up?
Yes. Nah, I'll talk about that off air.
All right. Okay, then. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. You can reach me at Chanel has some more comments. I believe in Fallout there is a reverence. There's the reverence for Fallout 1 and 2, but modern 3D Fallout New Vegas I thought was their most revered. I mean, for me, I like New Vegas just because the original studio made that game. Like, the original studio, the original writer worked on that game, so it felt most like a Fallout game. Chanel says, I missed the class system in Oblivion. I didn't like the open class system of Skyrim. Well, Skyrim didn't have a class system because basically it punished you for focusing on anything. Like, if you focused on magic, the enemies would scale, but your magic didn't. So once you got to like level 30, your magic was just fucking useless against high-level enemies. So basically, you were encouraged in Skyrim to basically like be a warrior stealth magic user. Like, you had to do everything in order to get all the experiences. Where in Oblivion, you kind of were rewarded for playing as, like, if you were a thief, you were rewarded for playing as a thief. You got skills that helped you with that. If you were a warrior, you got skills that helped you with that. Like, it's like the more, like, Bethesda calls it streamlining. I call it dumbing shit down so it appeals to the widest demographic. Oh, you don't need to worry about stats. You don't need to worry about building your character properly. Fuck that. Just do whatever you want. It's like playing D&D and having a character that has 20 in all their fucking stats. It's like, what's the point? Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at on Gmail at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91. Anyone have anything else they want to pimp out before we wrap things up? Anything? Going once? Going twice? Gone! We got nothing. Well, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Ding the bell for icons. I will have a video coming out Friday talking about, if I remember correctly, I will be talking about why the Epic Game Store is so full of shit and why I won't be supporting them. And with that being said, that's in the podcast. Peace.
And hype responsibly.